Child, we need to get up in this gig, girl, because I'm so excited. I'm about to batch a whole bunch of content today. So get ready because you're going to be binge watching my channel, child. Um, so if I could just get the shine off my forehead, everything would be great. So I got to buy a lighting kit. Anyway, let's jump right in. What are we jumping into? I don't know because I don't have the joint in front of me. All right, so I got notes here. I got notes here. We got a lot to talk about. So let's start off with this. Are passports actually an investment? If you do CBI programs, is it actually an investment or is it a little bit of a trap, right? Are you just paying your way into getting citizenship? So let's talk about it. I actually saw a video from a channel, where I like the channel. I like a lot of the things that they talk about. But this one particular video kind of it almost triggered me a little bit. I was like, hold up, hold up, hold up. I'm trying to get up in them programs and you you saying something I don't quite agree with, okay? So instead of me getting all mad and unsubscribing and commenting, my thoughts and it, like I was just like, I'll do my own video about it. For me, if you're just tuning in, I'm gonna give you a quick backstory about me, and that's it. You want to know more? Visit my site. But I've been an entrepreneur my entire adult life. I really started entrepreneurship when I was 12, and then by the time I was 19, I was an entrepreneur like all the way up till now, and I'm 46. So one thing that I know how to do is look at things and perceive things differently from your average person. A lot of folks are wanting to be entrepreneurs, but they are perceiving things and they're looking at things from a viewpoint of a consumer. And you can't do that as an entrepreneur. The only time you're doing that is for like marketing and pricing and things like that. But when you are an entrepreneur, you need to know how to have a certain kind of vision, right? And if you are like me and you are a believer business owner, then you need a certain level of discernment that you get from the Holy Spirit. And it helps you to open your eyes and, like I said, just look at things in a very creative, um, higher level of looking at things. Okay. So when I look at citizenship by investment, I am blown away. I'm in love. I'm in love with it. And I'm going to get a little deep about this. So, Black women, listen, I know you could probably relate. So we about to go there. But when I look at those CBI programs, right, citizenship by investment, yes, some of them are quite expensive. You need to be making some money in this business, so that's why you need to be subscribed to my channel so I can show you what needs to go down, right? But also, there are programs that are very reasonable, and just the whole concept of it to me in general is like, okay, what you're doing is in fact an investment. You are investing money into a government, into a country that you believe in, that you support. You see how they run things here, and you want to, if you're going to put your money anywhere, you want to put it into a country that will in turn give you citizenship. Because if you believe in what they're about and how they run things, um, then when you let them know through a monetary donation or through investing in a business in their country or investing um, in real estate or what have you in their country, I think that's a great exchange. That's a great deal. So I love it. Now, some people call it buying your way into getting a passport. Okay. I can use that too, especially as a Black woman. I am the daughter of the diaspora, child. I don't know where I came from. And that ain't even funny. It's really sad to have to say that. You got people say, yes, I can trace my great, 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 great granddaddy. We can trace ourselves back 12 generations. Well, I cannot. So I got to go pay somebody to help me just get started with like anything past my great grandparents. I don't know, jail. And that would be nice for them to add into our reparations. like we ever gonna get those. But still, if they were to pay for our DNA tests as a part of their apology for doing what they've done to our people, that would be nice, right? Because at this point, we don't even know where we came from. And so, citizenship by investment is actually such a blessing for Black people, and especially for us, Black ladies, okay? Because it's time for us to reclaim our power and claim our freedom in a way that I don't think they ever expected us to. Claim it, girl. Claim it. Okay? Because, considering the fact that we honestly don't know exactly what country, exactly what tribe, we get a, even if you go and do those ancestry DNA tests and stuff, it can trace it down to a certain extent, but you won't know every name, every face, every story. You're not going to know that. Um so it's tough. And when I think about it, the fact that my ancestors never had a choice, they had to be here. And if they had a choice, would they still want to be here? I highly doubt it, especially in 2026. Okay. But to think about them and to think about the fact that, that must have been terrifying. Terrifying that you go from minding your business one day to the next thing you know, you're being chased down, put in chains, carried off onto a ship, people talking to you in a language you don't understand, well, yelling at you, beating you, and then once you're on the ship, force feeding you, uh, RA, wedding, right? SA, just all kinds of stuff. And then you're packed in like sardines where you have to release your bodily, um, you know, excretions onto other people. Women had menstrual cycles back then too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was such a mess. It was so disgusting. And if you survived, now you're here in this land that you've never been in before. You don't know what you're doing, and you're being forced to start doing work by people where, again, you don't know or understand the language. They're trying to strip you of your language, your culture, your history, of everything. You're clear across the ocean. And I think about that a lot. And I have my entire life. And I'm just like, what would they have wanted for me? While they're out there in them fields, while they're going through the torture that they went through on a regular basis, while some of them even tried and succeeded in escaping, and some of them tried and did not succeed, and some of them tried and succeeded and still got caught anyway by the fugitive slave law. Right? Like, all of this stuff. What do I think may have been in their heart for me if they could even see that far into the future? And I think about that because one of the things that has always been important to me is carrying on, the family name, family reputation, and making my parents and my ancestors proud. I don't want everything that they endured, everything that they went through, to be for nothing. And so if I think about what is the heart that they had, or could possibly have had for me, I think that they would be so proud to see that I and you, right, are in a position where that freedom that they long for so badly, not only do we have that, but we have this thing called technology. We've got all these resources with the touch of a fingertip. Our phones, our computers, like, so much of the world is exposed to the rest of us now, that wouldn't it be great if we took advantage of that? If we said, you know what, whether these folks that did this to us want to admit it or not, whether they want to apologize for it or not, whether they want to have at least a conversation about it or not, it doesn't really matter to me, because I have the freedom that they long for. And now I am going to utilize that freedom to stand up and say, you know what? Now I get to choose. I get to decide what my home country is going to be. And I can select anywhere in the world just about that I want, especially the ones with CBI programs. Right? This is also one of the reasons why I'm an entrepreneur. I did not want to go into the typical daily grind of 9 to 5 and live the status quo. The status quo endangered our lives on a regular basis, as far as I'm concerned. That's just in my humble opinion. Um, but because of those things, when I think about it, I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get up out of here and decide for myself what my home country is going to be. If I don't like the way that things are being run here, and I think to myself, maybe I'll stay and fight. But then I think I've watched generations of my people do that. And just when we think it's working, they strip it back away. So why am I keep doing that? It's like being in a bad relationship. To be honest with you, we have always had an abusive relationship going on between us as Black American citizens and the government and administrations and how things are run. It just ain't never gone well for us. We've been literally beaten and bruised and have gone through so much. Dogs sicked on us, fire hoses sicked on us. All we want to do is have a cup of coffee at a lunch counter. They want to pour the coffee on us and burn our thighs. They want to pour ketchup on our heads and milk. My mother couldn't even get a hot dog. My mother. So people acting like this was such a long time ago because they put the pictures in black and white. No, right? My mom couldn't get a hot dog from the front of the hot dog stand. And her mom, she was 10, and her mom had to take them around the back because they're Black. They had to go around the back to get their hot dog. Can't be seen out here in the front. And I'm just like, for why am I still here? Um, and that's just one of many. There's many reasons why I've always thought about getting a second passport, and one of them is definitely also from an entrepreneurial standpoint. But just to wrap up my thought on that, the fact that if I don't like the way that this country has treated, my ancestors, and now here I am, and then I'm going to have descendants. How do I feel about that? Do I want to keep paying taxes into a system that I don't even like? I don't agree with. I don't like the direction they're going in. And this has been since its inception. It ain't never really been going in that great of a direction, not permanently. So what can I do with my power that I have now? I got it now. They may not have had it then, but I got it now, right? So I can always start looking into other countries, other governments that will actually accept me, that they actually look at me as a human being, not 3/5 of one, right? Because there's still people today that feel that way. And I ain't got to take that. I ain't got to stay here and I ain't got to fight you. I'm too good for that, right? The Lord said we are a royal priesthood. So I'm gonna take my royal self and step on up out of here and go find me a new kingdoms where I can rule, right? So yeah, I'm a get all the blessings out of my experience of being born and growing up and living in the United States. I take all of that and look at the bright side of all of that and then leverage that to what I can do in this world and not just in one little corner of it. Okay. So that's how I look at that. But anyway, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I look at it like this. I want to be able to pick up and go wherever feels great for me, in terms of for my business, as well as in terms of for my lifestyle. I want to be able to make my dollars make the most sense, right? I want to make my dollars stretch as far as they can go and give me the absolute best quality of life that I can get. So, how do I go about doing that? How do I leverage that? CBI programs is one of the ways that you can do it. And so, yes, I definitely look at it as an investment. I really do. So, for example, let's say I wanted to, uh, let's just say I wanted to invest in Malaysia. I wouldn't actually, they don't have a CBI program that I know of. But even if they did, like, Malaysia's not a place where I would want citizenship, but I would definitely get a long term visa there. And I'll probably do some more videos in the future about that and why and how. Okay. But if I were to do that, one of the things I would think about is like how the country is run. The fact that although they're majority Muslim, that they're still a very tolerant nation. Although, in general, like generally speaking, they're pretty conservative. But I consider myself to be more of a laid back. Uh, when I think conservative, I'm thinking you conserve because you think at any moment you'll have nothing. And I live a life of abundance. So if the opposite of conservative is liberal, because the opposite of, oh no, there's scarcity, I might run out, the opposite of that is abundance, then that's what I would be. That's how I would categorize myself. And that's who Jesus was. So, is. But you get what I'm saying. Was meaning while he was on this earth. Very, very liberal, to the point that you had government officials and religious officials and just everybody was all up in arms, jail, over stuff that he was saying and doing, jail. It was crazy. They wanted to stone him over some of the stuff, some of his views that didn't match how they looked at things, both religiously and politically. It was crazy. So anyway, that's for a whole nother conversation. But yeah, so when I look at that, I'm like, if I like what I see going on in the country, even the concept of like the fact that Malaysia, for their even for their long term visas, they have it where you're required to have to make a purchase of a certain amount minimum, right? A certain minimum amount. And they do that on purpose so that you're not undercutting and starting to um, push out the locals and cause them to not be able to afford um, being able to live there, right? So I love that. So they reserve some of the um, lower cost homes for their locals, while the foreigners, if you're going to come in there and you're going to live there long term and take up space, you have a minimum of a much higher amount that is normally more so something that only a local that's very wealthy would be able to afford. So if you want to be here, you got to put your money where your mouth is. Okay. And I like that. I like it because when you look around at these other countries in the world that are all upset about the tourism and the migration and having immigrants there and stuff, like they're so upset because of that very thing, right? They're feeling pushed out. The cost of living is going up for them because you got foreigners coming in and being much more willing to pay way more than what the locals can afford, and it's a mess. It's causing problems there. So especially like first country that comes to mind for me is like Spain. So when you're looking at stuff like that, it's like, well, this country already had a plan to avoid those things happening, and it works for them. Even when they were at a super low point where they were considered more of a third world country, they came up with a plan. Hey, let's produce technology. That let's get into the technology game, and they create some of the things that the entire world needs. I think they have oh God, I can't ever remember once I'm in front of the camera. But I think one of the key components to making microchips, and I can't think of what the element is now, but one of the key things needed to make the microchips that every device everywhere in the world needs, they have a very healthy, robust amount of that resource in their country. So that's pretty cool. Um, and the fact that they said, yeah, let's get in this technology game. And they did that decades ago. And now here they are today, where it's funny to me because you have people talking about Malaysia. First of all, where that at? Oh, Southeast Asia. Oh, well, ain't them third world countries over there? You know what? You keep on thinking that, because I'm gonna be over there living a life while you stay over here talking about how you struggling over the cost of eggs. Okay, like it's just crazy. So, I don't even argue with them, and I don't even sit there and debate and go through all of that stuff with them. I'm just like, you know what? You got a point. You got a point. It's not an accurate point, but it's a point. So I just let them think that. But when you look at Malaysia, especially when you're looking at KL, right, Kuala Lumpur, or you're looking at Penang, those two specifically, it's like those countries, the way they have their infrastructure, the way they have things set up, the way that they do their construction, the way that they plan out their communities, like all of that, from what I've seen, we don't hold a candle to them. The US needs to take some notes. And for real, the US needs to take notes from a lot of different countries. And they just don't want to. So I'm like, child, I ain't trying to be a part of that. I'm trying to, remember the army's slogan used to be all that you can be? Well, I'm trying to do that, but I ain't trying to get in the army to do that. I'm trying to be able to like look around and realize I don't know everything, and be able to look at other people, other places where they're doing things better or more efficiently, and being like, let me look at them and study them and learn from them. And we seem, generally speaking, a lot of America just doesn't want to do that. And I'm like, see, we're not on the same page. We're not even on the same page. I don't even feel like I belong here. So, when you're looking at that, yeah, CBI programs can come in handy because, yeah, like I said, as a Black woman, I don't really know exactly where I came from and exactly who my family was and what their names were, especially by the time they got over here. A lot of them weren't given names until it was time for the census. And they only started putting their property, their slaves, on the census for the electoral college so they could have more power and have more votes. It wasn't because they were like, you know what, I think it's wrong, I'm not treating them like people, let me count them as a person on this census. No, no, that's not what they were doing. So, when I look at things like that, I'm like, yeah, I want to make sure that I can actually start contributing to a country that I feel more aligned with, that I agree with more, that holds some of the similar values that I do. And again, that's crazy for me to say, to use Malaysia as an example, because they're Muslim mainly, and I am not. But I can still relate to their values and how they see certain things way better than I can relate to some folks in this country. And that's sad to say, but it's the truth. And you could probably relate. And so, yeah, since we don't have this option of, oh, I can just I can go get me a passport and get citizenship based on my heritage. No, we ain't got that. Okay, we ain't got that. For the most part, we ain't got that. Now, I've heard of places like Gabon that will allow you to, if you can at least prove your African descent, period, then they will let you start the process towards citizenship or what have you. But sure, that's a lot to do. When if I run my business right, have the right kind of income, have the right kind of credit, and have myself in a position where I can put in, a $300,000 investment, or a $1 million investment into a country, knowing that if this country gets any crazier, I can get up out of here and be welcome somewhere else, and I could live there long term. Better think about it. Better think about it, especially if you are someone who doesn't like what they're seeing going on. You better think about it, because I'm tired of trying to squeeze myself into a space and get comfortable in a space where there ain't no space, because they ain't never want me here in the first place. Okay. And this is coming from me. And I've worked with a lot of different kinds of folks. I've dated different kinds of men and all this kind of stuff. So it's not that I have any it's not a prejudice towards people or anything like that, but I'm also not stupid. You get what I'm saying? So you see what you see. And when you see what's going on and you see that things aren't right, and you've watched generations after generation after generation of people do their part and stand up for things and fight and advocate and all of that. And here we are anyway. So I'm just like, you know what? Let's look at it like this. Again, if this was a bad relationship, an abusive relationship, which is what we have had, especially as Black women, there's only so many beatings you can take. There's only so many times they can tell you, oh, it won't happen again. I'm sorry. I lost my cool. I wasn't thinking straight, blah, blah, blah. There's only so many times before either you're destroyed, if you get what I'm saying, or you just one day say enough and it's time to go. And I have actually been there because I have been in a very problematic, volatile relationship where domestic V was involved. And it was hard, but eventually, thank God, I got out safely. And again, that's a whole nother story I probably have to share. But yeah, maybe you're feeling that way and you're like, I'm so emotionally tired and I feel like I've got bruises on me and I'm just, enough is enough. I know I'm better than this. I know I deserve to be treated better by whatever country I go into. I deserve to be treated better than this. Guess what? There are other countries that are so willing, so excited to treat you the way that you deserve that maybe it might be time to at least start looking at them and see what they have to offer you. There's other suitors out here and they may have something better to offer you where it finally clicks for you. You know what? I deserve that though, right? Maybe you deserve to live in a place that um people aren't looking at you funny or following you around thinking you about to steal something when you got $1,000 in your wallet. Maybe it would be great for you to live somewhere where people would think if you from the States, you would think, oh my gosh, you live in a place like that, what that cost you? $10,000 a month, when instead it really costs you just 900. Right? So and like I said, using Malaysia as the example, or if I were to use Thailand or what have you, I mean they got biometrics to be able to safely get in your building, 24/7 security, and that's the average. That's not only for the wealthy, that's not only for people making at least $10,000 a month, which would be close to 40,000 ringgit a month. We talking just, hello, you deserve to be safe. Are you living? Are you breathing? Okay, well, like, and here it's like, I mean, yeah, in theory, you should be safe and all that and whatever, but we're not going to do nothing about it to make sure that you are, though. We're going to keep a gazillion guns on the street instead. So, stuff like that is like, why? Why bother? Why am I still here? It's time to pack, right? So you may want to start, looking around. And again, if you're in a position like me, which if you're a Black woman, most likely you are, that we don't have the luxury of doing a lot of the heritage citizenships that are out there for countries like up until recently Italy. Spain has it, and even if you had citizenship in a Latin American country, your pathway to citizenship in Spain would be sped up if you started with residency or what have you. So yeah, it can be tough. And you are going to want at least one more passport besides the United States. that blue passport, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I know this. I don't want that to be the only one I've got. And again, when you're an entrepreneur, another thing to think about is taxes, because the taxes you pay is going towards different programs and things that the government's paying for. And if you don't agree with them and you're strongly against them, instead of protesting by going out with your coat on in the middle of winter, um how about protest with your dollars, because that seems to be the only thing they understand. So if you could if you have a different passport and you ever say renounced, that would speak volumes to them, wouldn't it? Could you imagine if black people use their power instead of boycotting businesses in America to boycott America? And leave and renounce, take all them hard-earned dollars that you deserved anyway. You really deserve more. They need to close that wealth gap by redistributing it. But we all know they ain't gonna do that, right? So, but could you imagine you take your hard-earned dollars and you make those dollars stretch by going into other countries, creating a whole new life for yourself with them dollars they didn't even want you to have in the first place. That's why they fought so hard for for all them hundreds of years to keep you from getting, our people from getting the dollars that we deserved, that we earned, but they never paid. Think about it. Just saying, child, don't let me start no revolution, then they be stopping me. But hopefully you get what I'm saying and where I'm going with it. Like, of course, getting a different passport could totally be seen as an investment, and not only is it an investment, like financially speaking, but just an investment for your future, an investment for your peace of mind. You know, because maybe it's time to break up with America for you. I don't know. But if it is, when once you break up with them, you're gonna need somewhere else to go. So then the question is where, right? And you actually have to be somewhere else before you can break up with them anyway. So it doesn't matter. You still gonna have to do it. So yeah, I think, a lot of people talk about residency, but I think it is really important to have that second passport. And I know, you know, some of them really want us to feel stuck and really want us to feel like you ain't got no other place to go. And why would you want to go anywhere else? This is the best country in the world. Why would you do that? But we know better. And so now you can be like, yeah, you thought I ain't have a way out? Mm-hmm. Oh, I got a way out because I've got this passport over here and this passport over here. And you can go wherever you want. So I'm going to have more videos about which countries I would choose and why they would be a good fit for me. And, you know, I'm even thinking about forming a program to help Black women and their families with figuring all of that stuff out too. But I think one of the biggest things about me and what has allowed me to build the reputation I have as a businesswoman and as somebody online that you can trust, right? My credibility has been that I've always been the type where I lead by example more than anything else. And since I haven't left the country yet, I don't know if I'm gonna do that yet. Maybe we could do it together. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But those are things that I have in mind for sure. And when it comes to making plans so that you know how to quickly execute them, child, I'm the girl for that. So there you go. All right. So all in all, is a passport an investment? Uh, Child, in more ways than one. So, in depending on how you look at it, in certain ways, it could definitely be a financial investment, especially if you are doing a CBI program where you're buying real estate or business. But definitely for Black women in particular, it is an investment into your peace. It's an investment into your future. It's an investment into your freedom. So, I would highly recommend that you at least start looking into it and see if that's something you may want to do. Oh, the next book. I don't have the next book because it's in my Google store. Let me stop this.